Good day, everyone. It's not quite the same, is it?
Nobody can replicate that.
No, I don't even want to. I gotta go my own path, my own way. We are without Matt and we are without sleeves today. I think this is my first ever sleeveless podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, you know, in proof that I have far too many tattoos. Actually, I only have one tattoo.
It's just a giant one.
It's just everywhere. Yeah,
But so today we are recording on what I believe is Canada Day. Is that
it
correct?
is. It is Happy Canada Day.
So is that what you say is Happy Canada Day?
Happy Canada Day.
And what does it
Okay?
mean? Why is it Canada Day? What does
It's
that
like
mean?
it's our version of Independence Day.
Okay. So this is when you gained your independence?
Yeah, yeah, but you guys have the name, and it's like three
Okay.
days later. I don't know,
Right.
but yeah, yeah, it's our version of Canada, the Canada birthday thing. So anyway,
Canada's birthday. And then do you do the barbecue kind of, hang out with friends sort of thing and fireworks stuff?
it's a random midweek day off.
Right.
What we do, but today though, and you'll like this, and people will know and not know about this. So we did a rather large HTX test.
Yeah, tell me about that because I did an HTX workout. For people who don't know, you're going to need to explain that this is your baby.
Yeah, this is something we're testing. It's beta test, very much beta test mode, but it's a potential hybrid race. I've probably talked about it a little bit before. So I won't go too into details, but there's basically 9 workouts, 10 runs, if you do any run or no runs. We've kind of streamlined it in the beginning. We were doing way more distances. Now we're streamlined just to 2 distances. But anyway, we had 40 people go through it today.
But you did it without the running, correct?
We did two. We did without running and 400 meters between.
400
So
meters.
4K total and without the running. And
Okay.
it was um, universally smashed everybody. Everybody was pretty cooked. And that was what we were going for. And it seemed like we got good reviews. We got really good reviews. So the next step is to try to figure out where we go from there. The patch. Oh, and yeah. So it was, like I said, a lot of people, a lot of different skill levels, and it went really, really well. And then
Well,
that's why we celebrated with some mimosas, apparently, because that's what you do there.
gotcha. Mimosas. So that would be a great tradition if in this hybrid race you just offered mimosas
I
instead of
think
or something.
yeah, no flags, you get podium mimosas.
So I did the version. My original intent was to do the 800-meter
Hmm.
runs in between. Is that still part of the
No, I think we cut it down because people were like, that's just too much and too long and too hard. And it's still pretty good, but I think for like a mass appeal, we decided like the 400 works good and it's easier to keep track of and it kind of keeps you in that window where as if you wanted to host an actual event with it, people doing the 800s are going to be over an hour
right?
and this could keep it so that if you were scheduling people, you could keep it to within an hour window, right? Like for example, like me for this distance, I was 32 minutes. And of course, it does depend on the weights you pick, because if you pick lower weights, you have higher reps. That could theoretically make you faster or slower.
Well, that was the thing because you not only then choose the distance that you want to run in between stations, but you also see and okay, pick your poison. I love this. I love the patch. I love the patch, Dave. It turned out great.
Yeah.
So you not only pick the distance you want to run in between, or if you want to run at all,
Yeah.
but then you have for women you have two different weights, right?
Three.
Three different weights.
Yeah.
Okay,
You got you do 30 reps of each set with 20
20s.
pounds. So you
Yes,
20 pounds is one weight and you'll be doing 30 reps.
right.
35 pounds, you do 20 reps. 50 pounds, you do 10.
Right. And so, me being the person I am, I picked the 20s. And what's elegant about this race is you just need two dumbbells and you're set. There's no other equipment. And so, in those 9 stations, you either use both dumbbells or one dumbbell
Yep.
to be able to complete the movements. But I thought, okay, how hard can it be? I'm just doing 20s and I can get 30 reps done. And I was cooked
Yeah.
by round four. It was shockingly bad. I was really suffering. And it made me realize that the thing I love about hybrid races is that all I ever want to do is be that strong. And I'm already kind of strategizing how to be better at it the second time around.
Yeah.
And that means it's a good race for me. Like it didn't need a lot, there's not a lot of bells and whistles. The movements I think are a really good wide range of demand. on
I'm
the
trying to
bottom.
hit everything.
Right, right. So, I mean, you've got, obviously, weighted burpees or goblet squats, that kind of thing, like are gonna just help move you along. Anyway, I was shocked at how hard it was,
Yeah.
and in a good way.
Yeah, it seemed to be good. And what we did learn today that we hadn't seen in the past, I mean, because our test group has been so limited, and then now this really bumped it up a lot, was that it really kicked in where it exposed people's weaknesses. And like you said,
Yes,
where it kind of does a lot of differences. So we had people who were just smashing the lower body stuff. And then when it got to the upper body stuff, just got hit so hard.
yes, yeah.
So
And the last station in particular was kind of a nightmare.
that's universal. That's universal. Everybody's yeah. So basically, you're clean and press, and clean and
Yeah.
press with dumbbells when you're smoked is nasty. So today, like I did the 70-pound ones. So for men, the weights are 35, 50, and 70. So I did the 70-pound ones, and I didn't do the running because I wanted to get through it just to watch everybody. And yeah, it was. I mean, we'll post some videos, but it went good. I actually set a really big PR for me on this, so it was a good one. Um,
Yeah.
but it was
So
fun to watch people's reactions.
yeah. So you don't quite know what the next step is. Maybe somebody can, I don't
I
know.
do, I do, but I mean, there's more research that needs to be done and stuff like that. So I'm just not out to promise anything until I have all the ducks in a row. But this would be something different than the other ones because again, it's minimalistic and it's simplistic. And oh yeah, and we did everybody who went today did a food bank donation as well. That
Oh,
was
nice.
that was part of the deal. So yeah, very minimalistic, very simplistic, and that's the point is if it does go anywhere, that's the way I want to keep it. I
Hmm.
want it to be super affordable to train for, super affordable to do.
Hmm.
And, when anybody asks, how do you train for it? Well, you run and you strength train. That's how you train for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. If you're doing those things, you don't have to do specific movements. It's not, like other than maybe the clean and press, everything else is just strength and endurance.
Yeah. It's not a lot of skill.
No.
And also I think if we are that strong, I think it means something for sure about our fitness in
Yeah.
general. I would love to get to where I feel a little more confident with those 20s and then maybe, work toward moving up to the 35s.
Yeah.
Start doing stuff like that. I think that would be really cool. So, well
Yeah.
done. I'm glad it went well.
Yeah, it did. We had a lot of fun, and thanks to Zach and Amber of Pure Impact who put it all on. So
Oh, nice.
it was awesome, and it was mostly their crew. So we had a really good time.
Are we going to
But
see some posts about it from them?
yeah, yeah, and some videos and some pictures and stuff like that, and
Good,
you know, epic, painful
good.
moments. Hopefully, someone got some of Zach's floor press on video. Sorry,
Excellent, excellent.
Zach smashed the lower body portion.
Okay.
The upper body portion caught up to him a little bit.
That floor press, again, I thought, how bad can it be? And it can actually be pretty bad. So I thought I was just going to be able to sort of knock it out. And no, no.
And it's different strokes because for me, it's a bloody rest. Like,
Yeah.
like that's the rest for me. I'm like, okay, I'll just bang these out because when I was 20, every day was chest day.
Right. I mean, I think dudes kind of do that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But I will say that for me, it wouldn't have been a problem had it been earlier. But because it's one of the later movements, I was pretty baked by then. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm really excited to get stronger and try it again. So probably give it a go.
So we'll go for that. All right. So what do you want to go first? Do you want to talk HYROX stuff or DEKA stuff?
I think I want to hear what you've been hoping to talk about, but your internet has not allowed you.
Okay.
Might be nice to do some cleanup there. And then we can see where that leads us.
All right. All right. So do you have the changes or the rules in front of you?
I know
Yeah.
the stuff that we talked about
All
last
right. All
week,
right.
and yeah,
Hit me with something.
hit you with something. All right. Here's the one that bugs me the most. The BBJs with the 30 centimeter arbitrary distance. Go.
Okay. So they really didn't change anything on this other than wording. So 30 centimeters is 12 inches.
Yes.
Pretty much the same thing. The one thing they did here that I do like is they finally specified from the back of the hand to the front of the toe, right? Now, and I have more to say about it, but this is just what I'm talking about what they did. So they finally specified that because quite frankly, in Las Vegas, when we were the Elite 15 judge, they told us tip of the finger to the tip of the toe. So it was different everywhere you go. And I could see why judges were very much struggling with it and why athletes were struggling even more because
Mhm.
nobody had any idea. So this does put into play, at least the rule is worded correctly now.
So it's the actual air between the two
Between the
appendages.
back of your hand and the
Yeah.
tip of your toe.
Whatever,
So
however distant that. Okay.
30 centimeters is pretty much, as any Canadian kid who gets a ruler in school knows, is pretty much 12 inches.
Okay.
Because that's what's on our rulers. So you get centimeters on one side, inches on the other. So good for them. They clarified the rule. That said, I hate it. No. I think, and I mean, we've heard Rich complain about this a lot. Is it 31? Is it 30? It's very arbitrary. And it's a very, very difficult thing to judge that quickly. And this is something that I went back a long time ago. I mean, way back. And first when I suggested that they put the lines on the burpees to make it easier for the judges to just to see where hands and feet placement were. But at the time when I originally said that, and actually Mark Howe had a very similar idea I heard on RaceBrain. But when I originally said that, I said put a line every foot. So every 12 inches or 30 centimeters, if you will. Put a line every 30 centimeters. When your feet land in one box, your hands go in the next box.
Right.
That's it. Shoot,
Right.
score, easy. Easy to judge, easy to see, easy for everybody. Is it going to be, will your burpees be the exact same all the time? No. You know, you might land close to the front of a box, but you're going to be probably within 5 to 10 centimeters every time of where your hands placement, and it just works clean. That was my suggestion in the beginning. That remains my suggestion now. And I think it would, again, be super easy to implement, take tons of pressure off the judges, and make it simple. Like I said, it's not changed. My opinion is not changed from day one on this one. So that's where I would rather see it go.
Can you explain to me, I legitimately have this question, why we can't just let people do burpee broads? Like, why does there have to be this rule about the distance between our hands and our feet? Why not just make
Let
them
them
jump
fly.
with both and hit their chest? And if they're awesome at it and they're nice and tall or whatever, like, why do we care?
So if anyone has heard me talk about in the past RX1, which is an event in Quebec, very much near and dear to me, I truly love it. They apply that rule. They literally have dive bomb burpees. And they're like, it looks a little goofy, but it's real easy to judge, and who cares?
Yeah.
And that's the other way to go. I do not ever see the thing with the 30 centimeter lines is I actually think that's something that HYROX could possibly do.
Right.
They will never go to the dive bomb burpees because it's just so crazy. At the same time, I like it. It's very athletic. People who are doing it, they're athletic. They're showing the athleticism, and it's an advantage for them. So I'm okay
I would
with
think if you've got that kind of fitness, go for it.
it. I
Yeah.
mean, it'll likely burn you out pretty bad afterwards if you're really taking those big dive bombs. But I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would have no problem about that. And that's usually the way you have to go when you're talking about rules. Is it's usually very, very structured, or let it go, let it fly.
Right.
Get in the middle, it becomes very hard. So I think they're kind of trying to play the middle, and I think they're putting too much pressure and emphasis on the judges to make the call, and it happens too fast, especially when you consider not even Elite 15, when you consider the mass waves.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't have an extra judge, but if you had those boxes, people will get it, and most people are going to be very good at it.
I'm already using the boxes they have to help me kind of know. And
Yeah.
so if they had them just narrower, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
But I'd just like him to look. I mean, we have such simple rules on budgets, right? Such simple rules on, so many other things. It just feels like just, the lunges. You put your knee down, you stand up tall. That's it, right? I would love to have the BBJs be similar and just watch them go. Anarchy, it would be on our side, I think.
The other way to do it is like a burpee over something, right? A burpee facing over something. But the problem with that is then you have to have someone count it.
Yeah, and I don't think we want that. I think that's hard enough to get judges to have every participant. That would be really tough. So,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So yeah, like I said, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again. It is an improvement and a step in the wrong direction.
All right.
Yeah.
The only other one that I can think of that I wanted to pick your brain about, and then you can tell me of other ones you've been thinking about, but time penalties. I mean, I know that they introduced them before it was in the rule book.
Yeah.
Right? And so what do you think about that as a solution for elites and age groupers?
So, like you said, ignoring all the stuff that they implemented some of these stuff without it being in the rule book and whatnot. Let that slide. That's in the past. The time penalties, I don't like that they're having it kind of okay. First off, time penalties after the race should be for things like safety violations, like things like that. I don't think they should be for missed reps. I don't think they should be for bad judgings. I mean, and I've put my money where my mouth is on that many times. Like time penalties need to be for something after the race need to be for something very severe. In my mind, let's take for example, Sinead and Lucy when they dropped the bag. That wasn't called on the field. It was missed, so it's done. That's in the past. You don't add that at the end. If it's not called in the moment, I don't think that stuff should be done. And then it's my understanding they're going to implement the time penalties just like that after the race and then go through stuff. I don't like that idea at all. Um, I'm going to agree with Rich Ryan on this. And if you are going to put a time penalty in, have it be right at the zone, right then at the end. I know people are saying stuff like, well, then the person gets a rest. So make the time penalty enough to, like, that who cares? They're not going to want that rest because they're going to lose tons of time. If 30 seconds isn't long enough, make it 40 seconds, whatever. But have it happen there if you're going to do it. I still prefer the distance penalties. I don't think they were all right. I mean, obviously the sled pull penalty was ridiculous. It was a race ender for competitive people. So I think they could have had a better penalty there, even if it was a 5 meter shuttle run back and forth, right? Don't have to touch the
Mhm.
sled. Oh, you went on the line, step to the line, 5 meter shuttle run, go there, back, whatever. Could have been anything. Um, I don't think the time penalties are the answer, especially the way they're implementing them. I think that this was solving a problem that didn't exist. And I don't see how for the bigger way, like for the mass starts too, it's gonna be a nightmare trying to keep track of everything.
I don't think they're really thinking about how fast things move and how there aren't enough judges to keep track of things. And I think, look, for rapid cooling, you get what, a 2 minute penalty or something, right? Who's looking at somebody's number who's dumping water over their heads? I just when I judged in Vegas, I judged for Vegas World Championships, I judged at lunges. And that was still pretty early on in HYROX. There were still a real wide range of athletes that were showing up to world championships. And I still remember this one mixed doubles team that came through. And that guy just grabbed the sandbag and just started hauling on those lunges and just
Yeah.
not touching the ground once with his knee. Like he was just trying to get away with murder and go as fast as he could before one of us could catch him. And I went running over there, and all I had to do was say 10 meters back, right? I just stopped him in his tracks, backed him up 10 meters, and he had to lunge then 10 meters and then finish out with his knee down. We were done, right? It was all done, and we didn't have to worry about it. Would I have been able to stop him and get his number and call that in and all that sort of stuff?
While
Maybe.
you're still watching everybody else.
Right, that's the thing. And lunges are the slow one, right? So it's just a lot easier on some of those. But my husband on the ski had some issues with people and asked to see their number, and one of them didn't even have it. I don't know how he got into the start gate. But what are you supposed to do when people are trying to get away with stuff that maybe could be dangerous, or maybe in the ski erg it was a lot of they're going to break the equipment with what they're doing and they need to quit doing what they're doing. So it does seem like, again, a theoretical solution, but in actual practice, I don't really know how it works. And none of us want to see Elite 15 races where we're just waiting for people to decide who actually won.
Exactly. Yeah, not even Elite 15, even everybody. It's just, yes, time penalties after. I'm just not for it. I'm not for it. The distance ones, you could have adjusted a bit and worked a bit with them, and it would have been just fine. But if you are going to do it, make it immediate and on the spot.
Well, Race Brain did such a good job of going through all these
Yeah,
this week,
yeah,
and
and I
and the
agree with a lot
penalty
of what they said.
box would just be so fun to just watch them sit there and wait. I just think that would be so great. So
Biathlon's done it for years,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like you miss your targets on the shots. Okay, you go sit in the penalty box and wait.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
works, but it
So
needs to be done then and there. It needs to be the first person to cross the line, right? Like
yeah,
for all
for
intents,
sure.
but there will be the odd occasion where something applies, but for the most part, we should be confident when you cross the line, you've won the race. And so
Right.
not on the time penalty thing. The spitting and water penalty, I mean, well, uh, I don't know how you're going to police that either. I
Yeah,
think
I will say Jacob was shocked at how many people pulled into the ski and just snotted all over those machines. Like it's just real, something needed to be done. I
it's
don't
pretty
think
gross.
we should assume that that is a necessary part of the sport.
No. I mean, it's pretty gross. However, I'm going to say if this is a goal and we know that people have an issue with this, maybe we should put literally like garbage pail spittoons on the way in and
Yeah,
the way out of zones. Yeah, at least give
that's fine.
What's that? There's a garbage can right there. Yeah, yeah. So get the garbage can right there, and the rapid cooling. I actually agree because man, that gets slippery and dangerous there.
Yes, really dangerous. I don't think, look, I think if we need that, here's one complaint I have is that from what RaceBrain is, I was trying to find this on the rule books, but you're not allowed to bring your own chalk.
No.
So you can only use chalk at the pull and at the farmer's carry. And that's
HYROX brand chalk.
right. HYROX brand chalk. And so you get to the wall balls, there is nothing for you to dry off your hands, right? Like I am trying to actually find a solution to that because I have a serious problem hanging on to that ball. And I was talking with some people on Instagram who are like, well, liquid chalk, like and now they're kind of implying that that's not going to be okay. They want to keep that zone clean, which I makes sense to me, especially if you're using sensors, which could get, that sort of thing. But I don't know what the solution is for us athletes who sweat out there and who may have issues.
Short of gloves, I have no idea. Oh,
Yeah.
Rise, what do you got? There you go. Steal the chalk and stuff it in your bra.
Well, so that's what I've done in the past, but they're saying you're not allowed to use chalk in wall balls.
No.
Like they don't want it on the balls, right? So and I think it's probably has a lot to do with the sensors, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. And that makes perfect sense as it could, definitely clog up the sensors. So here's my thing. Have it or don't have it. Don't say you can have it here, but not here, but not here, but here, but here, but here. No, have it or don't have it. It's either there or it's not.
Right.
And if it's not, people have to deal with it. If it is, they deal with it. I don't know. I didn't realize they were narrowing it down to what zone you could have chalk in.
Yeah, I don't think they want to clean up after us, but we're filthy and they should recognize that. So
Well, stop charging so much money if you don't want to clean up.
all right, what else you got? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
You want to talk about quals?
Talk about, yes, I do.
Qualifications, yes.
Yes. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Right. Explain the quals as they are going to.
Okay, so if you're double.
Just solo. Go solo first.
Okay, all right. So solo, it's just like it was last year, as far as you have 365 days to have 2 qualifying times, and that puts you in the Elite 15 lineup that qualifies you to go to one of the 4 majors, right? And those major systems, from what I understand, sound exactly the same, whereas you've got the top 3 that qualify to Worlds, there's a roll down if you have more than, if people have already qualified and that sort of thing. That seems like the exact same thing.
Yeah.
There just isn't an LCQ anymore. They just have regional races in 3 spots. Yeah. Asia Pacific, Europe, and North America, right? And that those you have to have a passport. You can't just sort of come in and sweep in and try to take those over. But the problem I have is that only one person from those regionals qualifies, which I think it's because I'm a mother. Like I think about all these people who are trying so hard, like they're so excited to, be able to qualify for this race. Because my assumption is then they're going to take the top 15 times from, say, the North American area and say, you guys qualify to do this, in essence, a major, right? It's, but only one gets in. Yeah. That's rough. That's really rough. I think it's kind of mean.
So mean.
It is. No, I just feel bad. It's like you just got this one shot and yeah, you don't even, the podium doesn't mean anything unless you win. I think it's rough. So that's what I understand. You can fill me in on what I don't know. I definitely
that's exactly what I understand. And this horse has been dead so long, I'm tired of beating it. Okay, first off, let's start with the LCQ. Probably their coolest race of the year. Let's get rid of it. And replace it with
just open.
Replace it with an overcomplicated system that nobody asked for. And let's not fix the courses so that they're standardized, but have everything still based on time. So when I hear this, my first thought was, what problem did we solve by making this change? How did we improve things by making this change? And as far as I can see, we didn't. Nothing was improved. And like I said, in fact, you took one of the best things you had going and got rid of it.
Right.
So this is a step backwards to me. My ultimate goal being every race being like the LCQ, where it's just going. And whether it's one person at these regionals or 3 people at these regional, whatever it is, this is just another way that is going to make us even question even more if we have the 15 best people going. And I don't think we do. And the LCQ this year really showed that. Without the LCQ this year, there'd been no Sinead, no Emily, no Tom Rogers. None of those people that got in would have been there. And we get rid of that. And I'm like, so last year when they said they went to 2 races as a qualifying system, I said, like I said earlier, this is a step forward and in the wrong direction. This is just a step backwards. I don't see it. I don't see the benefit to this system. They say, well, I think their logic and that with how they would present it is, well, it will give some other people in the regions a chance to race. But the LCQ gave everybody a chance.
Well, and if you're giving everybody a chance to race, but not giving everybody a chance to qualify,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just giving one person a chance to qualify, that just seems harsh to me. It doesn't seem like it's really, it seems like it's just narrowing the field
Yeah.
way too much. And here we had last year those doubles races where if you podiumed, you would qualify and everybody shows up. And the Vanden Lindenloofs show,
Yes.
people like that show up and we don't know who they are and they qualify to be in the Elite 15 doubles. And we all thought, oh, well, they're heading that direction. This is kind of the test for doing this
Mhm.
entire system. And instead, they doubled down on what they've been doing
Yeah.
for,
Instead, they went, that was awesome. Let's change it.
yeah,
Let's
because
make
now
it.
the doubles now operate on basically the singles system as well.
Yeah, but a single time instead of double.
Right. And that's just, again, we're not going to end up with the best people. And
No.
I think it's really too bad. It's just not going to be as fun.
What I do like is that they've put the majors for the doubles and the singles on the same weekend. I do
Hmm.
like that because that to me will be it's just make it more exciting. It'll be great, and hopefully that means they will be streaming the doubles properly this year.
Right.
So I'm all
And
for it.
they're going to have a separate course that's
Yeah,
going to be standardized for those folks.
which the times will count towards their stuff, even
Right.
though they have a different course.
Yeah, I think it's just not going to be as fun. I just you love to see the new people who just show up and do a great job, and we're not going to get to see those guys.
Yeah, I find it very here's my fear. So what is it? I'm gonna see what is it? Seven almost identical races plus worlds almost identical with the same people.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
like
how dull is that?
and then six auto qualifiers or however many auto qual no, zero auto qualifiers. None. Why? This is the past. That's last year. Doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
So yeah, qualifying system, needless to say, not happy with it. I don't I think they made it worse this year.
Yeah,
Last year
yeah.
they made it better, not in the way I'd like them to go, but they made it better. This year they've actually made it worse.
And I will say, I mean, the new people, especially like Sinead Bent, right? Like if she hadn't shown up to Worlds, she was just such a bright spot there. And that's what we're losing, right? We're losing the
Edie,
people who everybody's, yeah, Hidi Wiersma, right? What a great name. Those the Spaniards that that passed everybody up on the wall balls. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna miss that. So yeah,
some
I
of the
think that was
best
probably the
stories,
biggest mistake of
some
the
of your
whole
best
new.
stories this year came from the LCQ and from the open qualifiers on the doubles. And we're ditching it for the
Yeah.
same old shit.
Yeah, the same people. Yeah,
And it
same people.
and there's nothing wrong with those people.
Nope.
And I think it was Ray Spring that said this. Somebody like Rich's time is going to be by the time the last major rolls around over a year old. Or no, Alex's win, his auto qual by the time he comes around to the last major will be more than a year old, and he
Hmm.
still's auto qual. I mean, this is why.
I think of all the things in the rule book, it was when they announced this at the press conference, I just was so disappointed. And I think they couldn't have done more poorly, in my opinion. So that's too bad.
No, it is disappointing with that. So I mean, that's the big stuff there. What else? Yeah, because we touched on the team thing. Very much bothered me. I will go through a couple of things, and I had on my notes here just with every one of these things, what problem did they solve? And I've come up with nothing. Okay, some things that you guys talked about when I couldn't be there. First off, DEKA, North Carolina. Can't,
Yes,
Matt, you can't blame DEKA for the air conditioning.
correct.
They've been there 2 years in a row. Everything was fine. This year, the air conditioner just went for a shit midday. And it is what it is. That happens. I mean, that in Vegas, when we raced in Vegas, that was hot as hell. And it's just sometimes those air conditioners, they can't keep up. It was busier than it had been in the past. And like I said, midday, the air conditioner just went for a shit. These things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Jabari was telling us, Jabari House was saying that last year it was frigid in there.
Yeah.
So we know that they can do it. It just didn't work that day. So,
First year, which was 2 years ago, I went to North Carolina. And we were frozen. Like, it was really cold. So it just, hey, the air conditioner went for a shit. It happens. So it wasn't due to a lack of research on DEKA part. This was 3 years in a row to the same venue. They've researched.
right.
And tanks for bigger and smaller people. Yes, it's the same. It's just you're stronger. You hit it right on the
If you're
on the head.
stronger, you will win.
Yes, if you're stronger, you'll be able to push it faster.
Right.
And if you are bigger, will you be able to push it faster? Most likely, because as we know, mass moves mass, right?
But
And
those box step overs are not going to be as easy for you if you're a big
no,
person.
exactly. That's how you get the good events. So all right, sled guy was awesome. He did great.
Yeah.
A lot of cool information. I enjoyed listening to him. A lot of great points.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
He's so
Uh,
smart. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, again, stuff that we've been saying for a while, right? Like, and did we? Was I even there? Did I get a chance to talk about the sleds from thingy? I don't know. I talk
You
a
haven't
lot.
been here a lot, so yeah.
Yeah. Rehash really fast. Here was my problem with it, and this is, and I think I probably talked about it on an OFX podcast, but when HYROX released the statement admitting, hey, there was an issue, I thought that was great. That's awesome because they don't usually do that. So at least they're communicating. However, my confusion is this, and this is where I don't understand. We had sleds that were slightly uneven at times, right? From lane to lane, race to race. There was a little bit of discrepancy, right? So like
Right.
with the regular carpets, like say back a year ago, regular carpets, that lane might have been like a couple seconds faster, maybe 30 seconds faster at the most. Maybe the
Right.
next venue they're like that. Like, let's honestly say 30 seconds. And that was a big gap on this carpet. Then we go to Worlds, we introduce turf, which everybody told them not to do, to introduce that at Worlds. Oh, by the way, again, introducing different time penalties at Worlds too. Stop introducing shit at Worlds.
Yes.
Um,
Nothing new
so
on race day, baby.
yeah, so we introduce a turf. The sleds go completely wacky.
Hmm.
And our statement is no, it's not the one variable we changed. It's the one thing that was the same. That's why they're different.
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me. If you're running an experiment and you get wacky results compared to normal, you don't blame it on the variable you didn't change. It's likely the variable you did change. So I don't see how they can figure that the turf wasn't the issue and that the sled was.
Here's what I will say about that is I know that, for instance, Sunday, they swapped out all the sleds
Hmm.
on this turf and the sleds moved. Everybody was having the same experience. It was much more even across the board. So what I will say is that, yes, you're right. Introducing the new turf clearly was a problem, but I think the uneven sleds just show up more on this
Yes.
turf,
And
right?
that's really cool.
Yeah, and so they could keep the turf and figure out how to keep the sleds more like all the same age. You know what I mean? Like put runners on something like that to be able to do that. So I can see where they're blaming the sleds, given that some sleds moved and other sleds didn't.
Now,
And
to
so,
me,
yeah,
I still think that's a bit of a protect ourselves because it
yeah,
clearly, and
little CYA,
your
yeah,
point is right, but it comes down to an interaction between the sled and the turf.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the interaction was the thing that changed. So my question about the sleds too, and I'm not, and I would have liked to ask the sled guy this, so or what he was said, but my understanding is they felt those sleds that were slower were beat up and stuff like that, right?
right.
Why is it before every race we are not just taking a wire wheel on a grinder, buffing the bottom of the sleds off, making them smooth and shiny in a way? Like I can literally do how many sleds I got out there? 20, 40?
Yeah, you just kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
buff
I
them
could be done.
clean.
I could be done those in 20 minutes.
Well, I mean, they're going to need to look. I That was the most awful experience I've ever had. It was horrible. And if I have another one, I probably won't go back.
Well,
Right? There's just going to be a point where we're not going to want to put up with what that was. And so, yeah, if they're going to need to come up with some kind of protocol now that they don't have to lay tape, because
yep.
the turf's already, then they've got labor to maybe clean up the bottom of the sleds every time or something. Because it was that bad. It was really, really bad.
And for those people I've heard saying, well, it was a little bit different or toughen up or this or that, I'm sorry, fuck you. I saw 18-minute sled pulls.
Yeah.
Like I looked up guys in my division, as I always do when I'm not there. Let's see how I would have done. Oh, I'd have beat that guy to beat that guy. I saw one guy, he had like a 3 minute, 3.5 minute sled push, which, cool. And then an
Difficult.
18-minute sled pull. He
Right.
did not all of a sudden have his arms and legs fall off.
We all know how to do this. This is world championships.
Yeah.
Every single one of us knows how to push a sled. I typically push one length unbroken
Yep.
and then just have the lengths on my way back and for the remaining three. My first length, I think I did 3 stops
Yeah.
and then it degenerated to 5. I was hitting things under that turf. I don't know what it was. It was absolutely baffling what was going on. And so, yeah, they better fix it or else I'm not coming back. I just don't think I could do it. It just stole my stole. And I don't think they're getting rid of the turf. And so they need to clean up the sleds.
And that's fine. You don't need to get rid of it if you fix it.
Yeah, just
Just
fix
make
it.
it work. And yeah, and
I really trust that they will. I think it's going to be fine.
I would like to trust that they will, but history has shown different.
Do they want any more races of that kind of social media coverage of people not being able to push their sleds? I don't think they want that.
It,
I think that was the worst advertisement they could have gotten.
it is by far the hardest hit they've taken on social media, by far.
Yes. And if it's just happening every single race, people are just going to be like, I'm out.
They need to have it squared away literally by when's the next race? Like next weekend?
Um, well, yeah, are they using that new turf down in the APAC region?
Thought it was supposed to be everywhere. I don't know.
Okay. And so I haven't heard. I heard that it was really hot in Singapore, but I didn't hear anything about sleds. So maybe they figured it out, or maybe all those sleds are new enough that they didn't have the problem.
I think it's next weekend, isn't it? Or I didn't know if there's one this weekend. I don't know. We'll look and see. But
I know that on RMR training there was a bunch of people who raced last weekend, so they've already had a race. Yeah, yeah.
so interesting. Yeah. So that was my takes on that stuff. I mean, I'm sure I said Hunter should be DQ'd. I went through that. That's it's cut and dry. What was it? Was Matt telling me he wasn't sure he should be DQ'd anymore?
He finally decided that yes, he should be DQ'd.
He
So
finally decided he should be?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
So
Um, just because what I think I was listening and I thought, so my thing is here, and I try to explain this to people because they're like, nothing happened. It didn't affect the race, this and that. You don't punish the outcome, you punish the action.
yeah, that's
It's
just plain dangerous.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's the action. You can't be concerned like, oh, this is what was the outcome of the incident. No, you have to punish what the incident, and motivation doesn't matter either. None of that stuff matters. It's only what you do,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's what happens in that particular case. HYROX made the right call. Did they make the right call with Jeremy? I don't got enough information.
I was just going to ask you what you thought should happen
I
to
don't
Jim.
got enough information to say whether or not from the like 2 seconds of video I saw,
Right.
that's not enough to DQ a guy. And from what I saw, a little blurry video, looked like cut in front of him. Absolutely. Was there any contact? I can't tell. Did this happen repeatedly? I don't know. So that's all I got. And from that, there's not enough there to penalize him.
Yeah.
Did I assume he did it more often was being a dick? Probably.
Well,
But
it sounds like he's got a history of it. And so
and
people who have raced with him before were like, oh yeah, he just does that. So,
probably
but I would like to see the penalties be severe enough that this kind of behavior gets completely extinguished. You just don't want to have that on the course.
yeah, and hopefully this, is a horn for people to hear like, yeah, don't do this. It's just stupid. It's unnecessary.
Yeah,
Leave the bravado at home and race.
right.
Somebody cuts you off and you're angry with them, just go win.
Exactly. That's what I thought. He's going to Skier, like he's going to kill him. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody
Anyway,
needs to be adults.
all right, all right. So yeah, that's my catch up on HYROX.
Okay. It's important to know what you think, Dave. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
glad.
Well, I'm
Um,
always going to be angry about it. It's just
yeah,
until I have I don't understand and this is what gets me in my mind is like, and I've the same thing over and over and over again. So at least I'm being consistent, but I don't understand why when you know something is wrong, you do half fixes and you don't just fix it all the way.
yeah,
Like even, like, so last year it was the open qualifying for Worlds Pro through open. Well, we know it's not right, so we're going to do less of it. We just don't do it. And then this year it's like, okay, we really know it's not right, so we're not going to do it anywhere except at the open champion.
yeah,
But,
which has always been baffling to
but
me.
you just said, it's not right.
So.
Oh, I do want to ask you a question. So, and I think, I mean, you probably weighed in it anyway. Pro weights.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's changed my life. It has changed my life. Here I am. I'm 57 years old, right? And I didn't realize until the rule changed how much I felt like the clock was ticking on my racing. It really is important to me to be able to race pro. I like going back to our original conversation with HTX. I want to be that strong. I want to train for that strong. I don't want to do light stuff. I want to be sturdy. And so I had thought about how by the time I turn 60, I guess I'll just go ahead and race pro anyway and just not worry about like
Yeah.
being competitive or anything or qualifying for worlds. And that was going to be my strategy. But I also kind of felt like that was not going to be, it wasn't a great solution. And I have spent the past couple of years, I think, probably racing a little too much because I felt like the clock was ticking and I wasn't going to have time to be able to soak all this in. Now that I've got till I'm 70 before I need to worry about this problem, and hopefully by the time I'm like 67, they will change the rule again because they'll realize that there's a whole bunch of us that still want to push pro. It just has given me, I've got 13 years to still race how I want to race and still have the opportunities that I want to have. I could take a year off right? Like there's no pressure anymore to be able to enjoy this. And I think I can't think of any women that I currently compete with that won't continue to race pro. I
Yeah.
think we all want it, right? We all want it. And to sort of, I don't know, parent us into saying, well, you can't handle it. I would like to make that decision for myself. Thank you very much. And I'm grateful that they're at least allowing that for the 60 plus at this point.
I don't even see why they have it for anybody.
I don't know. I don't know why they do either because
You got the pro weights, you got the open weights, great. Let people choose, away you go. I don't care if you're 80 and can push the pro, fucking fantastic, go for it.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
can't do the
I
opens,
don't know why
great, do
you would,
that.
yeah, like go ahead and give us a flag, right? I don't know. And so I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I know that there are some people, um, Peter Kelly and some others who are really advocating for this kind of thing. And I think that they're being heard. And so hopefully they'll quit trying to take away our driver's licenses just because we, hit a certain age and they'll let us do what we want.
I think my assumption is their logic behind this is there's not enough people at a certain age to make a race for them at Worlds worthwhile. That's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Throw us in the start tunnel. What's the big deal?
Here's my thought process. If one person, let's say one dude over 80 can push the pro weights and he's the only bloody butt guy who qualifies for the pro, great. Let him go. He
Yeah.
deserves
He deserves a
he
world
deserves it.
championship.
That's
Yeah.
right. He deserves it. Let him have it. And if
Yeah.
he's got to run with the 60-year-olds just because that's in order for you to have enough, great. Fan, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel the same way. So I would hope that eventually they'll come around to that. This was a great step in that direction for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is the thing. We realize it's wrong, so we're gonna fix a little bit of it.
Yes, I will say I am very glad that they changed the doubles now to 5-year increments.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. We
I have
were
nothing bad to say about that.
right. No, I just think it's going to make it so much more reasonable. I was in Nice, Kim Cole and I raced. We got beat by a doubles team where one of the women was in her 40s,
Yeah.
right? But because her partner was old enough, like she kind of poached into our age group,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That was probably the worst loss I've ever had. Like that
It
was
stung a bit.
it's tough just because, come on, hun, like, stay
Yeah.
in your lane. So I think that's gonna stop, right? I think they would then skew at least to the younger 50s instead of the older 50s. And I think that's the case for everybody. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would have liked it if they did it last year because now I'm at the top. I'm coming out of the top of an age
Yeah.
group and into the bottom of one. I'm like, oh, I missed it by a year, but that seems to happen to me a lot.
Who
That's
knows? It might not make a difference. You'll still do great. So
yeah, well, hey, we're looking. We're coming into that 51. Ryan and I are gonna we're gonna work it. We might be able to pull a qual off somewhere.
good,
We'll
good.
see, we'll
So
see how it goes. Yeah, so I think that's it on my thoughts on HYROX for today. Oh no, I have one more thing.
okay.
All right. Tia Toomey going to Worlds, all cool. I'm happy to see her there. I think her publicity is great for the sport and stuff like that. Um, I do not want to see HYROX catering to her. Um, allowing Tia and James Newberry, and actually it ended up being Grayson and Katie as well, to run in an earlier wave with a different age group so that they can have more time to rest for the Elite 15 doubles later on. I don't like that. That's catering, and that's that. And quite frankly, I think the only reason Grayson and Katie got the opportunity was because Tia was there. I think it was just Grayson and Katie, and just Grayson getting that late call
It
in.
would
I
have
don't
been.
think that ever would have happened. So I don't like the catering to specific athletes or celebrities or influencer or anything like that, especially at World Championships. She knew what she was doing when she knew what she was getting into when she went there, right? And I don't think she asked for this. I think they just offered it. So she knew what she was doing when she was getting there. She knew how much time she would have to rest. She had actually practiced for this situation.
Yes.
I don't like I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. I don't think if it was me where I had, hey, I need a little more rest for my extra race because I've double dipped on one day, they're gonna
Yeah.
go, who cares?
So you don't think that it is a specific nod to the fact that these guys are in the Elite 15?
I don't
Like,
care. They made a choice.
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
you if this is and something that I've thought for a while, like if you choose to run Elite 15, that's your choice. It doesn't automatically give you the right to run another race as well, like and then alter scenarios and have an unfair advantage over other people.
Yeah.
right? So I no, I know why they did it. I don't agree with
Right.
it. I think everybody should have to have the same rules, the same standards. And again, I don't believe Tia and James or Grace and Katie asked for this.
Right.
I just think it was thrust upon them, and I think it's a mistake. And I'm sure they're going to say, "Sure, you want to give me more rest? Okay." But
Yeah. No, they're not going to turn it down.
no, 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 they're not going to turn. But I think that stuff just sets a bad look, a bad precedent. So is it anybody? So now anybody who races Elite 15 and wants to do mixed as well, they can jump in an early wave, right?
I guess so. They
Like
set a precedent.
yeah. So yeah, that's not
Well, we'll
cool.
keep an eye out on that too.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it again. I don't think yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like I said, I was happy to see Tia there. I was disappointed we didn't get to see her do the Elite 15.
Yeah, she was so sick. I'm surprised she even did the first race. So yeah, it's tough when that
Yeah,
happens.
and I
Sure.
watched her video where she talked about how she was being sick, and it was really cool she did that. Um, could edit out the coughing. That seemed a bit much to me.
Oh, I loved it. I thought, yeah, she was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cheesy. A little cringy there. I was really sick.
Yeah.
It just it sounded like someone calling into work after a hangover, like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
sick, boss. Honestly, I'm very sick. And I believe she was sick, but the video made me go like, come on, don't do that. Edit out the coughs.
yeah. No, that was all right with me. So
Yeah. And
okay.
that's fine. But I do believe she was very, very sick. I completely buy. I just thought the video was funny. It made me laugh when that was the way. Like, physically crap on the work. Nice.
You're right. Like every one of my teenagers who, yeah, didn't want to go to school. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
please. Especially when you pick up the phone, it's even worse.
yeah, yeah,
Hey, hold on, I got a call in. Yeah, hello.
yeah. Well, anyway, it was too bad. It was definitely too bad. So
Hold on, I
okay.
gotta plug in. I gotta plug in here.
All right. I have a question for you about HYROX.
I'm doing a match. There we go. We are plugged in.
Okay. So you were saying, now that you're in, maybe, you're in a different age group for doubles or whatever, and, that may affect your qualifying. I just am wondering what you think your season's going to be like HYROX wise, given that people have a hard time getting into races. I just checked Dallas. Pre-sale went on sale yesterday, and they are currently sold out. It took 24 hours for the race to sell out.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? I know my picture's doing a
I
little.
can't. No, the picture's kind of funny, but just as long as we can hear each other, I guess it's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Let me turn the video on and off and see if that helps here.
Okay.
Or maybe it doesn't come back.
Nothing.
Yeah, hold on. And I think it's coming back. No, yes. We'll see if Matt even edits this.
He won't.
No, that's not his style. There
There
we
you
go.
are.
I just switched cameras.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm starting to worry that I'm not going to be able to plan my season. I'm starting to worry that these races are selling out so quickly that I mean, luckily I'll probably have some sort of pre-sale code and I'll likely be able to get in on it, but what if I'm on vacation and I can't do it that day? You know what I mean? Like I just worry that my plans may not be entirely controlled by my wishes, that I may need to not race some races that I want to race.
Yeah, I don't anticipate getting into much more than Toronto. Like, I mean, I'm in for Toronto and I got all my registrations for there. That said, yeah, it's very hard to want to prepare your season and tailor your season around a race that you honestly have about a 30% chance of getting into.
Yeah, that's what I worry about.
So why would I go through all that problem and that difficulty to train for one specific race so much just to find that, maybe not. Like I know so many people from gyms up here in Toronto who tailored their whole year for it and whole gyms got shut out.
Yeah. And I know you guys had a harder time than Dallas. I mean, at least Dallas was kind of up and running and I could have gotten a ticket had I, decided to race there. But it does make me wonder. I can't help but think that if they would just announce more cities,
Yep, I'm still here.
then
Yep.
I don't think people will, pile on and that there may be more opportunities. I mean, the thought is that, if Anaheim's in December and Phoenix is in February, they could come through Vegas. And Vegas was enormously successful. It would be a great race to do again. And so if they start being able to string together some like that, I would think that maybe that takes the pressure off these races and they're not going to sell out so quickly. I would like them to at least not be sold out before that gets released to the general public, you know?
Yeah, and I'm struggling with my camera here, but that's okay. Yeah, it's the whole concept where they're releasing, and what happened up here was they released an F45 code because F45 was the big sponsor, the gym F45.
Yeah, so that's everybody, right?
And so yeah, everybody ended up with that code, so they all jumped on early, and we ended up with nothing left come time that the actual codes were available or the actual race would be available.
Yeah. I was really thinking that at least we would get to Thursday for the general sale for Dallas and there would be some spots left and there just aren't. And so I don't know. It just makes me sad. They need to announce more dates. I saw that Matt put something up about Boston in late September, which makes sense. So maybe they're going to start sort of stringing through these cities and getting something so that at least we've got one. If we had just one a month, that would be wonderful,
Yeah.
just give us all something to do. So
Yeah,
anyway.
I think the oh sorry, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is there. Like I don't know how to make it better. I don't know, do we make more dates? Do you some more tickets? I think quite frankly if they overextend, they're gonna end up hurting themselves later on. If they get too big, they're gonna have to claw back. Because I believe at the end of 2026, we'll hit the plateau and it'll start to die down a little bit to even out at the very least.
But
Because
until then,
yeah,
yeah, until then, add cities,
yeah.
and then just anticipate that if numbers start going down and you're not completely selling things out, then remove cities. Sure would be nice. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
going to be
and
tough.
like in my opinion, they're already selling too many tickets to the races they go to. Like there are already too many people in the venue. I
Right.
think they need to be kind of capped at about 3,000.
Yeah.
Like I know I've had conversations with DEKA before where they're like, "Hey, we want to sell more tickets and grow more," and I'm like, "You can't. Like you can only your footprint only covers so much, you know."
Well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I will say I looked at the Dallas schedule because that was the other nice thing that they had was when you got onto the ticket, where you could purchase tickets, they not only had which divisions was going each day, which you would expect, right, to have pro women on one day and mixed
Yeah.
doubles on the other day or whatever, but they already had our provisional start times. I wouldn't have had to block out the whole day and hope that, they were still going to keep it, because I think for the last couple of years, you just signed up and hoped for the best. You didn't know when your start time was going to be. You didn't know if it was going to be at 8 o'clock at night or it's, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And now I know, like if I was to run pro women, it was 140 to 210 on a Friday. And
Yes.
the 3 days worked out really well because they've got the weights set up so that, you have the women, the adaptive women, and then they start adding weights, putting the men and that sort of thing in by Sunday, that's when all the relays are, right? So you're just kind of bringing those in toward the end. And I think it's just a much better system. The 3 day model seems to work really well for them. And it's too bad that they're not going to do that in more places. Maybe they will. I think Boston looks like it's a 2-dayer.
Hmm.
Uh, who knows, how they're going to do it going forward. But I feel like they really nailed Dallas.
So I had a thought about the relay. You can tell me what you think about this. I think the relay is kind of broken. Um, as we saw with the what team it was, a New Zealand team not having a sled when they came in.
What the heck? What was up
Yeah.
with that?
So
Throw a
and
plate
again,
on there for the guy.
yeah, and I don't know whose fault it was, whether New Zealand changed their runners or HYROX messed up.
Oh.
I don't know. So I'm not blaming anybody. What I am going to say is I think the system's a little bit broken. And what do you think if they stole from the idea from doubles and everybody in the relay used men's opens weight?
Yeah, did we talk about this? Who talked about
I don't
this?
know. I
Because
don't
I think that is definitely, I think if we just even the playing field in general and just allowed it to be more of a mixed doubles experience, I think that would be just fine.
I think it's either that or for the big time relays, you make men's and women's.
Hmm.
I think one of those two is probably best.
I will say, and I know Race Brain mentioned this too, I don't think it's a great watching experience when you have men on one station and women on one station, which happens quite a bit. And so there are times when you don't actually know who's ahead because you don't know how they've stacked things. And I think it would be you almost could have an all men's relay and an all women's relay, and I think that would all actually be more fun to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. And also you'd be bringing more people into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, so then more people could represent their country and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
okay, speaking of relays, are we
Yes.
done talking about
Yeah.
HYROX?
Yeah, we can talk about DEKA
Can
relay.
we talk about the DEKA relay that I was kind of really excited about? And I was planning on coming on the podcast and saying, hey, who wants to be on a team with me? Let's do a team. And then you started talking about what the rules are, and now I'm not so sure.
All right, so we're actually going to physically look at the rules here,
Okay. Because
provided
I
my
do think, look, DECA is such a fun race. Let's face it, it is so fun. And it was so hard to watch, the North Carolina race and not be there and everything. And I just love being at DECA events. But boy, they got some things they could fix too. They could make it great. And I'm not so sure this relay is a direction that I thought they were going to go.
No, and even me, this one caught me a little off guard. I did hear the chatter in the background that they were looking at doing a relay. This isn't exactly how I thought it would go. I'm anyway, look, I'm in favor of more testing and seeing if this is good. This might be great. I don't know. I think it needs some more testing. It's not exactly how I would have done it, and I'll go with that. But so we got
Okay.
deck of it two-person teams. Sorry, we're on two-person teams here.
Right. So
There we
two-person teams, and this is what I will say about DEKA and two-person teams, is it is different than HYROX in as much as you don't have to run together except for the first and last lap, which is kind of, just
yeah.
surface stuff. So you can have someone who's really, really speedy, and you can have someone who's really, really good at the stations, and you can work together to pace together a race that makes a whole lot of sense. And I was expecting the relay to be similar in as much as, or maybe it would be like HYROX where one of us would go out and run and then do a station and then come back in. I wasn't, and that's why I thought, why four? Why four people on a 10 station race? Anyway, explain to us this four-person teams.
All right. So first, like we talked about, if you're talking about doubles or two-person teams from HYROX and DEKA, I'm going to do the DEKA one every time because I think it's more fun. And that whole strategy you described, I like to call it like the tank and the turbo, and that's exactly the strategy me and my partner use.
So
So
fun. So fun.
like DEKA two people relay is one of the best races out there. It's incredibly fun. So this one seems to be almost like the same, but adding extra two people. So basically, all four people run the first lap, the first 500. All four people run the last 500, and the 500s in between. Two people have to run at the same time, and then all four people can split the zones. So I mean, if we go through it, I'm not going to read the age group stuff. Not to read the eligibility stuff. That's, you can look at that. That's boring.
Right. Right.
So for all ten zones, standard zone requirements, reps, meters, and calories are doubled for DEKA-fit four-person teams. So instead of a 500 meters row, you're doing 1,000. Instead of 60, 50, 30 lunges, you're doing 60. So everything's double, right?
Okay.
That's
So it's
pretty,
the same amount of running, but just double the zones.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
All right.
First 500, all four competitors must run together. This obviously the initial response I think a lot of people are going to have is that's a hell of a lot of people on the course all at the same time. To the best of my knowledge, when I brought this up, they're going to be releasing smaller waves when they do teams. So we won't have like 15 teams of four taking off all at once.
Okay.
Just imagine the chaos that would bring.
Yes. But that initially then the fact that we have to run all four of us together makes me I was thinking that this was going to be an opportunity for me to just get all sorts of people together. Like there could be four of
Yeah,
us with all different kinds of fitness levels and that we would all have a really great time because we were just kind of doing our own thing and just tagging off as a relay is supposed to be, right?
yeah,
Where you're giving somebody else the work. But now, at least for two of these 500 meters, all of us have to run the same speed, which I tend to be a little faster than the people that I team up with, and so I'm going to be having a great time out there. But my teammates are not going to be having a great time. Like they're going to be dying trying to keep
yeah.
up with everybody, right? So I worry about that.
Yeah, and I get that completely. I can understand that. And again, like I said, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. So we'll keep going through. So then the next part,
Yes.
there are two options to divide the 8 runs. Two teammates can complete the entire distance, or the teammates can divide the distance between them. So the
Oh,
thing,
okay.
the thing about that is what you could have. So you could have two teammates run a 250, then two separate teammates run the next 250, or the first two teammates could run the whole 250, or one guy or girl could stay on the whole 500 and then the other two swap out 250. So maybe, for example, you could run the whole 500 and your teammates could swap out just doing 250s to try to keep up. So, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not saying I agree with that scenario or however they're doing it, but that is the way they're running that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So
Once
it
the
is just adding a person to
Yeah,
a deck of teams race. Okay.
yeah. So once the run begins, teammates not running have two options: stage themselves outside, just like in regular doubles, or the running track, or go into the zone and wait to split up the zone.
Okay.
All right. Work can't be done until all four teammates come in. Blah blah blah.
So there
Before
are four people in the zone. So if I'm on ski, my teammates, three of them are standing behind me. Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now I'm told that they're going to try to be making hopefully adjustments. They're going to try to adjust to make sure that this works. And there is some testing to be done. So when I read this off, no event has happened yet. Don't be
Right.
surprised if some of this changes a little by the time an event rolls around, or don't be
But this
surprised if it
is
stays the same.
this is probably what they're going to try when they do the
Yeah.
testing.
Yes, I could see this is how they try. So
Okay.
zone work cannot be done till all four teams before any transition run is completed. Physical contact, blah blah blah.
Right. So tag each other off.
Yeah, when two teammates finish a run, enter a zone, both must tag the person starting the zone.
Okay.
And that's to obviously account for, say, one person running miles ahead of the other person coming in and tagging.
Right.
As we've seen in both DEKA and HYROX, people get separated, and
Yes.
there seems to be a glaring confusion about how far. And that's something that I don't think HYROX has specified yet. I know DEKA hasn't really specified it, but their concept is if you get to the zone before your partner, you have to wait till your partner gets there.
Right.
HYROX, I don't know, because they seem to have this thing where you need to be in a certain distance, but they won't tell us what that distance is.
Yeah, I know that it's a timing chip issue for them. And that they want to keep you as close
And,
together so that the timing chips aren't a problem, but
and that's cool. Just let us know what it is.
right,
And we
right.
will do it. Timing chip must travel with the teammates during 100% of the distance. Da, da, da. I'm assuming it's going to be a baton thing as well. Team
Okay.
can divide all the reps, calories, whoever they want. One teammate competing in the zone. Only one teammate can work in the zone at a time. So it's not like you can have two people doing box overs on different boxes.
Okay.
If dividing up reps and contact is required for the swap. Oh, sorry. If dividing up reps, meters, calories in its own physical contact is not required for a swap teammate. So yeah, because we're using the same equipment. So if you and I are rowing on the same team and I get off and you get on, we don't have to tag,
Okay.
right?
That is the tag by just getting on
Yeah,
the rower.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then the next line says you can't use different pieces of equipment.
Okay.
This is the farmer carry one because it'll be 2 laps of the 100-meter thing. So one or multiple teammates can be on the 200-meter maze. It's not really a maze, more course. It indicates multiple choices. But anyway, wording the same team at the same time. Teammates are allowed to swap it out any time. Completion of the 200 meters, the non-working teammates can position themselves in designated holding area while the working teammates complete the 200-meter carry. All teammates can travel the maze together if they want. If more than one teammate is traveling inside the maze, the non-working teammates must position themselves in holding. Yeah, so pretty much everybody can go at once. A couple of people can go at once. One guy can go at once. Whatever. It's farmer's carry.
Right. Okay. And the rest of us, if we're not doing farmer carry, are waiting in this little zone.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, for the past couple of races, what we've done, especially for teams, is we've kind of taped off a little side area for people to wait
Okay.
because people were just standing in the entrance,
Right.
and it was just they're just
That would be a problem,
right. Yeah,
especially if
so
there are 3 people.
exactly. So,
Right.
zone 8, if splitting up the reps, only one teammate can be allowed within the metal frame at one time. That's the dead ball over or pancake over.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty logical. That's the same as regular
Yeah.
doubles.
You can't have, people just
Yeah,
standing,
yeah.
going back and forth over there.
If dividing meters on zone 9, swap can only occur at the start line. This is for the magnetic resistance sled, same as the other one. Zone 9 must use the high sled resistance, same as regular doubles.
Okay.
All 4 teammates
But
must cross.
what's happening then is that there are 3 people standing in the zone
Yeah.
while one person pushes and pulls.
Yeah.
And then you could just swap out each person. Okay.
So like if you were going in there and it's because it's going to be 200 meters instead of 100, so it's going to be instead of 5 down and back, so it's going to be 10, right? So like you
Yes.
could switch every down and back and just try to make sure that your fastest runner is on the last one so that everybody else can keep up.
Right.
And that seems to be about it. So yeah, if a team member is unable to finish the race, that's a DNF.
Okay.
That's that. Yeah.
All I'm currently picturing is 4 teammates in the box step over zone, which is already kind of chaotic. Not a lot of room. And now you're adding 3 more people per team. That seems they're gonna have to take some boxes out. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
you're
it's a lot.
100% right. You're
Yeah.
100% right. It's not the only zone that's going to be like that. Even
Right.
the dead ball overs is very congested if you get that many people.
Yes. Or the sit-ups, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't look. I think one of the problems that I have that I think DEKA needs to address is how small their footprint is and how small those zones are, right? You can only get a certain number of people, in each wave because there just isn't enough room because the footprint is so small. Now, if you're adding 3 more people
Yeah.
to that, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah,
When are they
and
going to
I
make?
agree with you. I think what they need to do if they are planning to do stuff like this, planning to expand, they need to go to bigger venues and they need to take some of the things that are inside of the course, like merch tents and bag check and all these other things, and move them outside of the course so that there's more room to expand the zones to a larger scenario, larger footprint.
So you think we could keep the 250-meter track
Yes, and
and
expand
just
the zones.
add more of the zones within so that people are working in the zones?
Yeah, yeah.
Could you do the zones on the outside so the track was on the inside?
This has been talked about, and obviously it is possible, and it's possible to put some on the outside and some not on the outside. Um, it just would have to be instituted at the beginning of the year so that everyone is the same, every race is the same, so that nobody gets an advantage, right? Because they
Right.
one thing DEKA does really well is make sure the courses are, standard.
Standardized.
Yeah,
Yes. And we like that.
we don't want to lose that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is definitely a possibility. It just has to be implemented at the right time. And that's it. Yeah, they need to make more room. Like, I mean, farmers carry. Usually it's down on one end. You could easily put that on the outside and open up all that room to expand, right? Um, it's it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. I'm gonna hold my opinion on this relay race until I see it and try it. I want to see some testing done, and I believe there is some testing to be done. That's why I say don't be surprised if some things change. Because yeah, they gotta test this stuff out. And DEKA and Spartan like to do this. They love to release an idea. They get very excited and very happy, and it can be very cool, but they got to get some testing done.
Right. I'm going to want to see that. I'm not doing it in Austin. I thought I was going to.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
it's not what you thought it was gonna be. And I've
No.
had that for a few things before, right? Where it's that's not what I pictured
Uh,
it.
yeah.
It's it's closer to what I thought it was gonna be, but it ain't exactly what I thought it was gonna be. I thought there would be a handoff area, right?
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I
It's a relay.
yeah.
You give somebody work, they go do the work, then they hand off to another yeah. So that's what I was expecting. And it's really and I just running with four people. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
The
So
problem they run into, right, is so what you're saying is if they did it with a handoff area, it would be very much like HYROX, right? You do a run, you do a zone.
mhm.
I think they wanted to get away from that so that you could still split up the work and split up the runs, but I don't think they figured out a way that you could kind of do both. And I'm been working on it in my head as well to try to figure out a way to change it up. So I don't know. It needs some testing, it needs some tinkering.
I don't think you necessarily need to drag the entire team around the whole course
Yes.
to be able to share the work. You could have somebody on your team position themselves in the ski erg waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, you really could sort of come up, then the possibilities would be infinite on how
Yeah.
you divided up the work. And it would be screaming fast and it
Yeah.
would be really fun to watch, right? Because you just see different people with different skills I think it'd be a lot more fun to have something like that where you did have a holding area and that it was legal for somebody to come out of that holding area and position themselves in the next station to be ready to help out their teammate, right?
This is interesting. What if you had a mobile holding area?
Ooh, explain.
So when
Does
we
it
do
involve
doubles,
robots?
no, when we do doubles, right? Um, let's just say let's say you're my partner and you go on a 250 run. Well, I can
Yes,
wait in the holding area to pick up and do the next 250 run, or I can wait in the zone. What if, and then with the next zone, my holding area changes to out front of the next zone. That's the way
right,
we go now, right? What if
right.
you do the same thing, but just have three people waiting there instead of one?
What if you just had on the track some sort of marker where the teams would have to stay outside the track, and that would in essence be the mobile holding zone, right? It would just move all the way around where we were all kind of waiting there to do our job.
Have you ever seen speed skating?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, where they do it but they're on the inside, but you move it to the outside, and
Yeah.
then literally you can change anywhere.
Yes.
And then if someone's doing work in a zone, your other teammate can cut in, tag them off, and they go out. That would be interesting. I like that.
Or if they change the footprint, which I do think they need to look. So I've already looked up Austin, and Austin is, I think they're anticipating a sellout. It's the last DEKA fit before Worlds. A lot of people are coming to, try to qualify and everything. And so they have it 2 days. They've got it sort of Friday afternoon And that's when the relay is. They're going to have just open, they're going to have some age group on Friday afternoon, and then they're going to have the relay. And then the next day is kind of a typical what we know a DEKA day is.
Yeah.
Where it's, age group, and then the elites are at like 2 o'clock, and then you've got doubles right after that. And they finish up. But the reason why they have to do that is because there literally is only so many people they can accommodate on a course in one day. There are just only so many hours in a day. And if you're releasing people every 6 minutes, because those zones are so small, then it restricts you. You can only get what, maybe 1,200, I think, tops. Whereas
I
HYROX
think,
in a given day are getting like 3,000.
well, HYROX are going up to 4 and 5 now, but
Right. But they
I think,
can, because they can change their footprint. And
yeah,
so the limiter really is the footprint. And so let's say you did move the zones on the outside. So then people could spectate when their friends got into their zones,
Yep.
where it'd be easier to spectate, and you had the track more in the middle. And then maybe you did have merch, or you had, the podium
Okay.
in the center, right? But most of the people are outside. And so you've got these zones outside. Then it could be like speed skating, where we could have the interior be for the relay as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So as far as numbers go, because I've done some math on this. If you widen the track a little bit, because the concern obviously having too many people on the track, so widen the track a bit.
Yes.
If you give me, and I worked out the numbers, 65 judges.
Okay.
65 judges. I need 65 all day long. Now they can rotate in and out, but I need 65 on the floor at all times. I can run probably 2,500 people through in a day on DEKA.
Okay. So is it a judging issue then?
Partly it's going to be a judging issue. Yeah. I mean, like I said, you need 65 judges all day long. Partly it'll be a judging issue. Partly is the width of the track. So the venues weren't big enough to have a wider track. And what that would do to under that's with having 14, like 14 skiers, 14 rowers, 14 stations within the zone. Yeah, about that number. I think it's 2,250 to 2,500, somewhere in there. And if you give me a few more judges, add an extra one, you can do it. Because with DEKA, you can actually send people like every 3 minutes. And we've done that this year, where you can start sending people every 3 minutes.
Yeah, but they're only sending like 6,
Yeah. So now, because that's a judging thing, right? Because we don't have enough judges to send more. Now, if you had the 65 judges, then I have enough to send like 14, 13.
Okay.
So yeah, but that when you talk about max, like that, to me, that's the max that footprint will hold. That's the max that 250-meter course with the
And
zone.
you said how many? 2,500? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 2,250 to 2,500.
So that already is doubling what they're getting.
Yeah.
Which,
but you need the judges.
Right.
Like that's just the way that the way DEKA is built. You need those judges. That it just takes that much.
It just seems so cost ineffective the way they're doing it, right? It just feels like they're leaving money on the table without just some simple fixes. And I don't think judges is actually a simple fix. I think
That's a hard one.
it's a tough one. But local gyms, I don't know how you get people involved to try to do it. And obviously the athlete judge program, I do every single time, and it's always really fun. And I don't know why more people don't do it. But yeah, I didn't realize that judging might actually be one of the solutions.
Do you want to hear a crazy idea?
Yes.
Put bag check in the warm-up area.
Go figure, right?
Where do you put your bags when you go to warm up, Cheryl?
Just in the warm-up area. They're
Yeah,
all
put
just
bag check in
piled
the
on the
warm-up
side.
area.
We're just leaving our lives out there for people to
In
steal.
North Carolina, there was like 6 bags in bag check and like 400 in the warm-up area along the
Nobody
wall.
wants to deal with it. It's fine. So we think, oh, everybody's good here. Yeah.
Put bag check in the warm-up area.
Pretty simple solution. Yeah.
Sometimes, but that's the point. My point is sometimes the solutions are right there.
Yeah.
We just need to make it happen. And
there does seem to be a current rigidity that is frustrating, given that they are getting the numbers. And here we can't sign up for HYROXs. Like, we want fitness racing. So they could fix some stuff just and really make it so much better.
Yeah. So all right, that's where I'm at. I'm done. You done? You good?
I feel like we solved some problems today, Dave.
That's what I do.
I am no longer excited about the relay, but I bet they'll fix it, and I bet it'll be just great.
Yeah, eventually. And here's the thing, even if it is exactly the way it is, it's still gonna be fun. Like, it'll be fun. It might not be the exact way you want it, but I guarantee you'd still have fun doing it, because the doubles are like that, dude. They're just always fun. And HYROX doubles, for me, HYROX doubles are not the way I would do them. But man, I still enjoy it.
Maybe I'll put a word out. Somebody can do doubles with me in Austin, because that I do love the doubles for sure.
By the way, Matt's not here this week. Okay.
Oh, did we notice? I don't know if we did.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone. Take care, Cheryl.
Thanks, Dave.